Hey everyone, I just recorded this and realized I didn't record it. So we're going to try this again. Anyways, my name's Micah. I am a bass player. Anyways, I'm leaving this for conference. I'm going to keep it on the Rocky Butte stage as of Wednesday night or whatever. You guys can use it how you will, but I just wanted to show you a quick video. If you don't know how pedals work, the input comes here and the output comes out the other side on every pedal. So usually signal flow goes like, but you plug your guitar in here. This is a tuner pedal, pretty standard. It mutes your signal as when you're tuning. Super useful. You can use it as like a mute switch or whatever when you're not doing anything, which is really nice. Or like when you put your bass down, so that even if you like bump it or whatever, it won't do anything. But quick note, there's a power supply under here that powers all these pedals. The power cable's right here. It comes out the side. You can plug it in. There's pretty much any plug-in. Anyways, so something's a little different about this. This is a loop pedal. Essentially, the signal flow's actually going in here, out here, in here. Imagine this is off the board and not in the signal flow. So it's in here, out here, in here, and then it goes in here and then out. This is separate. So the switch is really actually like, it's really finicky. So I had to buy a little thing to make it so I never have to touch the switch and that I can get a clean on and off, because I don't know what happened. But if this thing gets finicky with you, just kind of mess with the switch, turn it on and off, and it starts working again. You're great. But yeah, anyways, when this is off, it doesn't even go through this pedal. It's literally coming in here and then here and then going, and it's not going through this pedal. But yeah, I just try and imagine it. It's out here, comes in here, loops around, and then comes in here. And this is your, like, how you engage that loop, that pedal. So don't bother with this. Anyways, we'll get back to this later. This is the bread and butter of my sound. It's the Aguilar tone hammer. Has EQ options. I more or less keep these at 12 o'clock. Master I keep at 12 o'clock or whatever. I don't know. I guess it kind of depends. It's just a general general volume set. But you got your on and off of the box. I don't know why they set it up like this. And then this is your drive with it. The DI box has to be turned on for the drive to work. Just keep them on, both on at all times. The problem, there's a problem with this where the way they had to wire it to make this box, they had to, like, how do I say this? So when you engage the drive, it bumps the volume like a ton, and that's really bad. So if you're like in a song and you turn on the drive and your volume like kicks up like 10 dB, your front of house engineer is going to hate you. And so is everyone else, because everyone's going to hear you way more loud. So you, as a bass player, you want to keep your sound really consistent and volume wise. But I would never want to turn it off, and I'll show you why. So I keep these at 12 o'clock. I keep the gain around right here. And then this is like what makes it so good. It has a mid frequency. You choose a mid frequency and you choose whether or not you want to boost it or cut it. I cut it based on my setup. I'll tell you how I set it up. I cut the low mids because it gets very muddy. A lot of basses do get muddy in the low mids, especially in the neck pickup, which is the only pickup I use. I used to blend it in a little bit and like lean more on the neck pickup, and now I just do a full. I don't know. I didn't know why I tried to like kid myself into thinking I was going to use any bridge pickup. So let me show you. This pedal is really reactive to how you play. So if you're playing really soft, or you're playing with your right hand up closer to the neck, you can get like a really light, like barely any attack. Like you don't hear like the pluck of the string. You don't hear any of the drive. It just keeps your sound really compressed. So like it really fills out your low notes a ton. Even if you don't have attack, you won't hear the drive, but it saturates your sound enough to where it's like, I will show you guys here in a second, but I'll actually show you right now. So like if you're playing like Anabia, where she plays with her right hand more up closer to the neck, It fills out the sound. I do this a lot on low songs. I pretty much start every song like a formula, and pretty much start really like soft, like every worship song does pretty much. So there, it's like really warm, full. There's barely any attack. It kind of gives you that synthy, like where it's like rolled off and there's no high end at all. Sounds great, but if you want to start hitting the strings a lot like harder, you start to bring out more of that drive without doing anything. And this is just with fingers and stuff, like your right hand action. So you can kind of hear how it's like kind of compressing it. Also, this cuts off a lot of your highs. So like, so what you would normally hear that's like on your highs on your bass, they're not really there anymore. This cuts them off, which I love. And then it boosts your mids a lot, which mids are exactly what you want in a bass. It's how you stick out in a mix. The lows, I'm sure you guys have heard this, but the lows really don't like, you don't stick out with the lows at all. You need to have mids to be able to like have your notes intelligible, if you know what that means. Like you can like understand, like, have you ever heard someone with all lows try and do a run and all you hear is and it just doesn't sound like anything. It's just like a low rumble. Yeah, so this boosts your mids. I cut my low mids because they get really muddy, but then pretty much everything else gets really like boosted up and you can hear it really well. And let me show you. I mean, this is where, like, playing with my fingers just on the pickup, near the pickup. It, yeah, you can kind of hear it like come out and get a little grimy. Yeah. So next stage that I do is I play with a pick. I'm sure you guys all know. I would never play with a pick without having this pedal or having some sort of drive pedal, because I hate the sound of like pick being played on a dry bass. But with this, I hope you'll fall in love. Janisha, I swear, I've heard you mention that you are a punk rock kid and you love like Blink 182 or whatever. You call me out if I'm wrong, but I feel like that. But this is exactly the sound that they have. This is like the same kind of amp sound that they do in like back in the 80s, 70s, 90s, early 2000s. More recently, bass drive pedals have gotten a lot more bright, but this stays to like a vintage sound, like more mid-range. But let me show you. It's this. So I play with a pick. I play with these. I have a bunch of them actually. I'll keep some in that little bag that this will come in. You guys can use them if you want. I highly suggest it. I swear you'll fall in love with it, only because of the drive, and you'll feel how like you feel like you have power, and that like you actually bring energy to the sound. So this pedal, octave pedal and / fuzz. It's actually like a synth pedal. As you can see, it says synth. So that means it tracks your signal. So you have to play really clean, because if you give, it can only track one note at a time. So if you even have like another note kind of ringing out while you're playing the next note, it'll get really weird and start like getting all over the place. So you need to play really clean with this. Mute all your strings that you're not playing with. I play really aggressively on it for obvious reasons. So I pretty much have my whole hand on the fretboard except for the one string I'm playing, I'm like nailing on. Anyways, this is a low, an octave below. Sounds like a low synth. Yep. Then you can put in your dry signal, like your actual bass sound in. So it's. You got your octave signal, like an octave up. That's a big enough sound as it is, but why not have more? Please don't be scared to do more. I'll show you why in a second. It doesn't actually like poke out as much as you think it is. I think we're used to as bass players that like bright, sounds really brittle, and it sounds like you're too much in your face. But for a big song, when you're playing massive, like when there's like a massive synth sound, you guys know it. And a lot of songs these days already have like a synth playing on top of the bass that fills out that sound that the bass isn't. So this really helps come and cover up for like a guitarist. If we go into a big part of a song, you want the guitarist up high, like not low playing power chords, because then there's no one up playing high, because then the keyboard player is never going to be playing really high up. Plus it can sound really bad when a keyboard's playing really high up in a pad. So like you want the guitar player really nailing up high, but we need to support him, because then he's going to lose all the thickness of like a low sound. So we support him like coming up, taking up the frequencies that he just lost. And so here's the square wave. Here's without it. It's kind of like a fuzz. This is kind of how I said it. This is like a high cut. Please keep it open. I dare you, please. I have brought it down, but I was a wimp. So keep it up, especially for big settings like this. I'll show you why. I think I pretty much covered most anything. This is a DI box, so you can plug it into the XLR if you want. But we're doing the song "Something Has to Break." Here, let me show you it. I'll try and play along with it, and I'll show you. With it, for us, it's going to sound really in our face, but for the audience, it sounds like just like the song filled out, like there was a third instrument that came in for like a big song. So let me show you. So yeah, that's about it. Sounds really big. You can play it on Phenomena if you want. I don't like playing full on parts with this just because it's really finicky. So it does well with like whole notes type of stuff, but like playing anything like that has any sort of like attack or anything you need, it's like it's not very precise with its sound, if that makes sense, because it's tracking like you don't really get like a really focused sound, like with especially from Phenomena where you need that doom doom doo 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 doo. Like this one kind of gets really funky. It's like oh, also with this pedal, since it's tracking, the tracking, it gets really bad below like the A string. So the lowest you can play is that A, or that A. Your lowest A is the lowest you can play. I guess don't worry about losing the lows. Like you really want to play a low note. Like this has that like an octave down already on you. So like don't feel like you're missing like a low G on a big part. Just play the G up on, I don't know, the 10th fret of the A string, and it sounds like you're playing like really low. Yeah, that's about it. If you guys have any questions, hopefully I don't have to record this again and it's actually recording. Yeah, hit me up.